Hello, I'm Dr. Michelle Burden, along with Dr. Lisa Burkhart-Worley and Lane Jordan-Burdett. And welcome to Pop Talk, the program where you never know what topics might pop up. Do you want to be a leader or consider yourself to be a leader, but believe you still have some things to learn about leadership? I know I do. Then stay with us. Our guest today is a coach who helps women understand how to climb the corporate ladder. Lisa has an introduction.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Our guest is a very dynamic woman who wants women to step into their leadership potential. Her name is Valerie Sokolosky. Valerie's a leadership coach who has 35,000 hours of coaching experience. She's also a keynote speaker, a podcast host, and an author. I have a few of her books here. She's written 8 of them. Here are some of the titles: Do It Right, Corporate Protocols, Seasons of Success, and Monday Morning Leadership for Women. Her podcast is called Doing It Right, The Stories That Make Us. And I was honored to be on that podcast. We had so much fun doing that podcast. So I know you're going to learn a lot today about how to be an effective leader. And it's so great to have you on Pop Talk, Valerie. We've talked about it for some time.
We
but
have.
Finally, it worked out. This is the timing for us, right? It's for
Perfect.
such a time as this. Tell us first about your leadership background, can you? What did you do corporately, and then why did you segue into this? Why did you decide to help others?
Well, I was in corporate America until I married my husband, who worked for IBM. That means I've been moved. And so he was gratefully going up the ladder pretty fast. We moved every 2 years for 15 years.
Wow.
I had 3 babies alongside that.
Wow.
And so I gave up my broadcasting career, and I had babies. It was wonderful, and I loved it, and I took the time off, Lisa, to take care of those kids. When we landed in Dallas, my youngest was 12 years old, and I thought, okay, it's time to get back. Had no idea how, but as a Christian woman, I prayed. And someone just happened to meet me and say, well, why don't you do a keynote speech? And I said, what about? And we figured it out, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's great. Isn't that interesting?
Very
God
cool.
led you, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Still does.
I love that story. Well,
Thank you.
I think all of us on this set are servant leaders, Valerie. I know my 2 co-hosts are now doctors in theology, so
And we served that program for,
Yeah.
no, sorry.
anyway, but what I want to know is, how does a person know if their leadership material, and then could you share what are some of the characteristics of a good leader?
It's interesting that you asked that question, because I ask leaders on the show the same question. My perspective is, if you are doing things right, i.e. the name of my show, you'll turn around and see that a lot of people are following you.
Wow.
It's really as simple as that. And if you are a leader where people are always in contention with you, you better look in the mirror and say, is it all those people, or is it something
me?
I'm doing? I even had one man say, you know, leadership would be great if it weren't for the people.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I don't think I want to talk to you anymore.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
You have to have people to have leadership.
I know,
You would think
really?
that would be common sense.
He was kidding, I
Right,
think.
right. So let's go inside the workplace for a minute.
Okay.
If you want to be a leader, you have to get along with people, right? We were just talking about that. But what do you do with the person who really tries your patience because they're always complaining or seeing the glass half empty? And how
that
do you
doesn't
maneuver
happen.
that as a leader?
I'm just joking, sorry.
Gingerly.
With grace?
You know, back to attributes, and I think one of them of a leader is to be upfront. And one of the things that to me is the most important if a leader is hiring a new person, a new hiree, is to have that conversation at the very beginning.
Right.
For example, this is what one gentleman does, and this is what I'm telling the story about because I tell them all to do this now. He said, you know, I brought this person in, first time I was at a leadership position and I had direct reports. And so I brought each one of them in. And I said to them simply, you know, what's so important to me, this is him talking to the employee, is that I get to know you and what's important to you. And you get to know me and what's important to me.
Exactly.
And they talked about that for a while. And then he said, and I think it's also important to know from your perspective what kind of things irritate you.
I like
And
that.
you just get it
Like that.
straightforward. And then they had the reverse conversation. Well, guess what? The bonding that happened, the relationship that started then was beautiful, and it really kind of started with humor.
That is so
great.
good. I like that,
You
starting
can
out
steal
that way.
that.
I wish I took on an executive pastor's role at a church, and I wish I would have started out like that. That would have been good to get that out of the way. But what I really love with managing people, I just think it's important to have a can-do attitude. I've always had a can-do attitude, like, okay, we'll find a way. I don't know how to do this, but let's find a way to accomplish this, especially with the visions of the pastor. Like, this is what I'd like to do. I've done the strength finders, and one of my strengths is activator. So it's like that.
Surprise.
He gives me the idea, and I try to activate it. And so it's kind of fun for me. I enjoy doing it that way, and we do that a lot with this ministry. But one of the things I'm not good at, and one of the things I hate to do, is promote myself. Yes. And I know a lot of people in ministry who are great at it. They're always in front of the camera, and they're talking, about what they're doing. And I do put things out there on social media for Pearls of Promise and Pop Talk and all that, but I don't do well with that. But you say it's essential to brand yourself. It's essential to get your message out there. Can you give some reasons why it's important to do that?
Because there are so many voices coming at people all the time. And unfortunately, some of those voices are what I call whamming, W-A-M. What about me? What about me? What about me?
Oh, wow.
I actually did a keynote speech once, Lisa, and I had T-shirts made that had wham on them so that they could walk around the hotel.
Like, what
And people would say, what is that?
What about me?
Yeah, when we go to the National Religious Broadcasters Convention and do this show there, maybe we should wear those.
We should wear those. That's right. Break
What
beat.
about me?
We'll definitely get noticed.
I like it.
And that is, I think, true. Unfortunately, we're living in a world today, in my perspective, that there is too much what about me. And a leader, back to your question, is other-centered,
Right.
not inward-centered.
I'm with you on that.
Thank you.
It's so important.
I love that. Well, what do you see as the most glaring mistake that today's leaders might make in the workplace?
One of them is keeping people too long.
Yes.
Oh,
That's big.
really?
I'm glad I'm talking to the choir.
Yes.
And it's really hard sometimes for people who do have a relationship with someone that really needs to go, and they don't have the nerve or worry about, their family, and I don't want to be the bad guy, and all of these things. So number one, you've got to have enough reason to say to the person they need to go. And if they do, help them find someplace else.
Right.
Whether it's inside the company or outside the company, and how you approach it and so forth. But I also think, honestly, people who need to go probably know they need to go.
Right.
And
They're just
more
afraid.
more often than not, those people come back and say, I'm so glad you did that because I'm so happy now.
Right. Yeah, and that's so true.
encouraging.
I usually, the signal for me is when somebody wants to do what I do, or they want to take my position, and they start doing things to challenge, the leadership that maybe I have over the ministry. That's when I know that they're ready. They're ready to go do their own thing, right? They're ready to move out on their own. And so I've had situations like that before.
How did you handle it?
I actually prayed that they would step down because I knew that, and they did.
And they did.
They did. So that's kind of how I did it. How important is it having a leadership coach? You're a leadership coach and a mentor. How important is it to have a leadership coach and a mentor? We have not discussed it yet, but Letitia Baldridge, the White House Social Secretary for President John F. Kennedy, mentored you. What did you learn from her?
Oh, I'm so blessed. Number one, the graciousness that she had. I'll never forget the first time I met her. I was scared to death. I was going to be in New York. I had called her. I bought her books. I read them. I thought, and I underlined them and so forth. And I knew that she was going to be, because I had emailed her assistant, in New York at a particular time I was. And I just boldly, and here's another point, never be hesitant if you get a nudge, because as Christian women, nudges come from our Lord, right?
Yes.
They do.
And so way back
that.
then, I had that nudge to just pick up the phone and ask her assistant, is she going to be and could I meet?
Right.
And the assistant said yes. And it was at a lovely restaurant in New York City. And in walked Letitia Baldridge, and I have to explain what she looked like to get the picture. Very tall, a large-boned woman, majestic, all in black, and always wore a strand of pearls.
Wow.
We like that.
We like that.
Like pearls.
And I was trying not to be intimidated,
Yes.
right? I didn't have a chance to get intimidated because the minute her eyes met, she shook her hand, took her hand out to me, and said in that deep, wonderful voice, "Oh, I'm so glad to meet you." And I said, "Oh, Miss Baldridge, it's my joy." "Oh, no, 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 call me Tish."
Oh.
I said, "I'm really going to have a hard time saying Tish, but okay." And that's really who she was.
That's a lovely
Yes.
lady.
Isn't it?
Yes.
That's
She-
beautiful.
She lived every inch of that book.
That's beautiful. Michelle has a question about CEOs. Yeah.
Yes, no, I love that. I actually have a HR recruiting background, so I completely understand what you're
good.
saying about people and when they stay too long or you don't really know what to say to them. It can also be along the lines too of somebody who you have a manager maybe that is a yes person that always wants to say yes to everybody. And so there's multiple ways that can go, but
Right.
Particularly for women, there's still a glass ceiling. And although we're seeing more female CEOs, which is great, I can remember back in the 90s, I knew a woman in a large company who said she'd never make it any higher because of the levels above her. They were male. They were male dominated. So are women making any headway in corporate America and upper management, in your opinion? Today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just anybody can Google how many leaders in our major Fortune 500 or 100 companies there are. The advice I would give to any woman, and yes, that's a really good question, is always stay who you are, be a trustworthy person, and be a linchpin. There was a book written called Linchpin. That's how I got that
I remember
idea.
Yeah.
And what do I mean by that? Be that person that someone else will go to for knowing something, whether you know it or whether you're seen as a linchpin, meaning I don't know the question, but I can help figure out who does.
Exactly.
And so that puts a woman in a position of, oh my goodness, you know, they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, I've dealt with this a little bit in sportscasting when I was a
Bet you
sportscaster.
have.
And I think I was a sportscaster before it was cool for women to be sportscasters. So there was a glass ceiling there. And actually I was in position to take over a main job in a station, but it was just not time. You know, it's like it just didn't happen. They brought somebody else in. And a lot of people liked me and they wanted me, but it was just not part of, well, it wasn't part of God's plan, but it wasn't the timing for that at that time. So, you know, I don't think we're still seeing main female sportscasters on stations yet. You know, we see them more in, we've seen play-by-play.
Yes.
You know, we've seen
On the
women
football
doing that
fields.
on the football game. So that's a huge accomplishment, but we're still fighting that a little bit. Yeah.
But Lisa, to your credit and to your talent and your gift, you were seen with all those things.
Yes.
And that goes to the point of, as a faith-based woman, I have to say this, when the right opportunity comes, the Lord is there,
Right.
and the
yes.
door will open.
Right.
I
Right.
think too many of us, particularly as women, get so frustrated of what we don't accomplish or that job we didn't get.
Yes.
And then what do we typically do? Oh, it's all about me. It's what can I do differently?
But it's not God's timing.
Exactly.
Right.
And
That's what I need to remember.
don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't
yeah.
we
I'm
all?
so glad you shared that. Well, I want to ask you, you've got 35,000 coaching hours.
a lot.
I'm actually an accredited life coach. And I might have 10. No, I don't know how many I have. But 35,000, I love it. So I know you have lots of wisdom for us and our audience. Can you share a few do's and don'ts for aspiring women leaders?
that would be know your gifts, know what you are really good at, and find ways to demonstrate that. For example, I got a call not so long ago from a woman who said, help me just be able to say something at a meeting. They don't know me, and particularly on Zoom.
Right.
And so I certainly didn't tell her how to do it. As coaches, we don't do that.
Right.
We don't say, well, all you have to do is, right? But through conversation, that woman recognized that she's the one that had to speak up when she had
Yes.
something to say.
Yes.
Right.
And on a Zoom call, maybe it's as simple as like this, where the person who's leading the Zoom meeting never like this or this, but a hand up. And of course, now we've got the emojis, right?
Right, where you can
put a
raise your hand.
up, and that's okay too. But if you have something to say, find a way to say it.
Right.
That's bold.
I
Yes.
love that. That's amazing.
That's the only way that you get heard, though, if you're not speaking up. I mean, if you don't say it or speak up, then you can't expect for that to happen, right?
Yes, and you know what? Thank you for that. It triggered something to say to the women leaders. And that is, if you have someone on your team that doesn't speak up, man or woman, and you know their gifts and talents and
Right.
strengths, then it behooves you to speak up and say, you know, Bill, you're really good at XYZ. Do you have any input on that?
Exactly. Give them like an intro and then
Right.
lead them into doing that. Yes,
love
that's
that.
really important. And I'm really interested in what you have to say through your book, Monday Morning Leadership for Women. This is really interesting. I like this. What did you decide to put Monday morning, or why did you decide to put Monday morning into the title of the book? And why is the beginning of the week so important?
So this was the most fun book that I've written because, and I talked with the editor about it, and we decided we would have it a conversation between a mentor, a woman that's at the top and has a lot of the wisdom to share, and a young woman who is rising in her position. And so they happened to meet in my book at yoga.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's, you know, that is a raw place to
Yes.
be. There's no
Yes.
holds barred. You're just
No.
two women.
Yeah.
And this Taylor is the young woman's name. Taylor had a conversation just quickly, started out with yoga stuff, and she had the wherewithal to say to Suzanne, Suzanne, I just appreciate what you share after yoga, and I would love to get some wisdom from you. So she asked.
Yes.
And you know what? Every leader loves to be able to help somebody else,
Yes,
unless
that's right.
they're jerks.
Yeah.
And so Suzanne said, well, you know what? I'm not going to be traveling for a while. Why don't we meet every Monday morning
That's
at
beautiful.
Starbucks? That's the coffee
go.
cups on the book.
Yes.
And I'll share whatever I can with you. How would that work? Oh, would you do that? I'd be so grateful. Thank you. And so there's 8 chapters in the book, and I knew from experience and also research what are the 8 most urgent questions that young people want to know about how to be a leader.
Wow.
And those are the topics that Taylor would ask Suzanne each Monday morning. And then she took notes. Taylor had to take notes.
Yes.
So at the back of each of the chapters, as you know, is a little notepad, and it's her writing on what she learned.
That's cool.
That's great. What a great thought. I'm just going to go back to a time when I was a public relations manager at the airport in San Antonio, and I used to pray that the Lord would bring me women who I could mentor. And so I saw my position at the airport as one, as representing God. I know we couldn't really talk about it in the workplace, but I would still ask him to use me with these women. And so 2 women know the Lord today because of the opportunities that he gave me. The second one came in, and she's like, I had been praying, and she's like looking around, is there an opening here? And I thought, is that the one? And sure enough, she went through the process. She got the job. Her name's Laura. And her mom was in the last stages of cancer. She was dying, and she ended up in hospice. And when she died, I know I heard God say, she's your daughter now. And so I took her on from that point on as a spiritual daughter. And so, and that was 2002, so 23 years later, she and I are still connected, and she was with us at Thanksgiving, and I've watched her grow in her faith, and now she's involved in her church, and she's just made an amazing change. I'm godmother to her children. This is where this went, because he brought me this woman that needed to know the Lord. She was an agnostic. So this leads me to my question. How important is faith-based leadership? Is it wrong? I know a lot of companies would say, do not witness, do not share about Jesus, but is it wrong to take those opportunities and sharing about your faith when they come? I mean, can you talk about just the importance of being an ambassador in the marketplace, in the workplace?
My quick answer is yes and now. And I say that because we are in such a tumultuous world, and now is when, if we have a message to share from our heart, one that's our story, God opens an opportunity. Think about how he'd feel if we didn't. Exactly. So I'll share with you a similar situation, which was exactly that. And it was a woman who, I don't remember her religion, but it was like a Middle Eastern. And we were talking about God, and I was bold. It was in my office. And she asked me if I wanted to hear her chant.
Wow. Okay.
And I said, sure. And so she sat there in a chair just like this and did. And I just listened, praying, what am I to say now? Yes. And I didn't say anything. I just said, beautiful. But that woman and I had conversations where I did bring up God. And if there is an opportunity, I'm going to. Right. Back to the main point, now is the time to be more bold than ever before.
Yes.
Because I'm just wondering if the time isn't getting shorter.
Right.
Exactly.
And lives can be changed. The first Laura that I mentored, she was going to marry the wrong guy, and she wasn't in love with him. It was an arranged marriage. I said, and she told me about all these things. I said, red flags, and she loved someone else. And so sure enough, she went on a spiritual retreat, and then she realized that first of all, she didn't have God in her heart, but then she realized she didn't have a heart for this guy, and she ended up marrying the one she loved. I mean, this was, I said, you need to write that story. It could be a love story, a movie, and they're happy, and their boys are grown up, and it's just amazing. So thank you so much, Valerie, for teaching us about leadership. It's just wonderful the work you're doing and how you're influencing people, and we just wish you all the best with what you're doing and all the initiatives that you have. So Valerie Sokolosky's podcast, once again, is called Doing It Right, The Stories That Make Us. You can find all of her 8 books, including Do It Right, the new book of business etiquette, on Amazon. And her website is valerieandcompany.com.
And we would really love for you to reach out to us here at Pearls of Promise Ministries. You can reach us at info@pearlsofpromiseministries.com. You can like us on Facebook at Pearls of Promise Ministries. We'd love for you to follow us on Twitter at Pop Talk Media or at Pearls of Promise, or on Instagram at Pop_Ministries. And all our past Pop Talk television shows and our award-winning documentaries are on our YouTube channel at Pearls of Promise Ministries.
And thanks so much to our 26 television and radio platforms and the wonderful production team from GracePoint Media. For all of your media needs, go to gracepoint.media.
So that is our program today. Thanks for watching. We're just ordinary girls
who God turned into pearls. Have a blessed week.